Okay, this was an interview question. So given a string, return an object that actually displays, hey, what types of vowels are found and how many of those vowels. Okay, so right here, we have a normal function, vowels counter. I'm going to do a const final equals, and then remember, you have to return your final answer. Now, we get a string. I think the best way to do this is to make it an array. So we can do str.split to turn it into an array. And then what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to use reduce because reduce is usable on functions, but it can also return an object, which is what we want. So reduce comes with an accumulator, and I'm going to call this next letter. Okay. And it will return something, and its second argument will be an object because that's what I want as the final result. Okay, so in here, what can we do? Well, we can do if what? So if vowels, that's this vowels array outside right here, dot includes what? The next upcoming letter inside of reduce. Okay, so if this happens, what are we going to do? If this happens, we're going to take the accumulator, which is an object right now, and we're going to do accumulator at next letter will be a ternary expression. So what will the value of this assignment be? Well, first, let's check if this exists yet with the logical not operator. Okay, so if it finds a vowel that's included in the text and that vowel is not present in this object yet, then it will create it with a quantity of 1 because that's when we've hit our first vowel. So it will be equal to 1. Now, if not means, hey, it found a vowel, but there's already a property name with that same vowel. So now the count instead of 1 will have to increase. So I can just do this, plus 1. Okay. And now remember, when we're inside of reduce, you always have to return your accumulator. Okay. All right, so now we have our function vowels counter. On the right, let's do vowels counter. Let's just start simple. Let's just start with the letter A, like this. So you see A, you get 1. What do we have? 2 A's, some E's, a bunch of random letters, some Z's, some I's. Whoops. Okay, so now you see it actually counted all the vowels correctly. Let's even add in some U's right here, just to be sure. Yep. Cool, right? And this was one of the interview questions that I had to give. Yeah. And a lot of people actually struggle with this, believe it or not. All right, so now let's look at how we can solve this the second way without using reduce. So how can we do this without reduce? Well, you can still do const final is equal to an empty object. And then once again, you can return final. But now, instead of having to convert the string into an array, we can just do a for loop. For const, I will call this letter of vowels. Actually, letter of string, my bad. Okay, so inside here, so instead of includes, you can also do something like if vowels dot includes, but instead we're going to use index of. So if vowels has an index of the letter that's greater than -1, if it is -1, that means it's not there. So if it has that, then we can pretty much do the same thing. We can do final at letter, and we're going to check, hey, does this thing actually exist? Final at letter. If it does not exist, its value will be 1. And if it does exist, instead of using +1, you can actually just use ++ in front because it will evaluate it first. So then that will also work. And we don't need a return statement in here because it's just a for loop. Okay? So after this for loop runs, the final object will be updated, and then we're just returning the final object. So down here, let's console.log, vowels counter, let's do AAA, BBB, EE. Okay. And then we get 3 A's, and 2 E's. If we add in 4 I's, yep, it still works. Okay. So this way is very, very similar to reduce. And actually, anything you can do in reduce, you can actually just do with a regular for loop or for of loop. Okay. So always determine what you need to be using.